students, myself Jannavi Gore. In this video, we are going to study about probability. Now, the probability we have already studied from 9th, 10th and 11th. We will just revise the probability what we have studied in the 11th, and then we will start with the portion what is given for the 12th start. The probability. The probability is calculated for a random experiment that we know. So, what is mean by the random experiment? An experiment where all the possible outcomes are known, but what is the exact cannot be guessed. And such experiments are called as a random experiment. Example: throwing a die. We know that the number appear on the upper surface of the die will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. But what will be the exact result when we throw is cannot be guessed. And in such case, all the possible outcomes of an experiment are denoted by n. Here, n becomes for this example, when the die is thrown, we can denote it as the possible outcomes, and the value of n will becomes a 6. Now we are defining an event, and that is nothing but the subset of a sample set. And this set, according to the event, our favorable changes. So the number of elements favorable to the event A is denoted by M. Now for the same example, if I say that my event A is an even number, then my favorable will be 2, 4 and 6, and so the value of M will becomes a 3. Now, the ratio of favorable outcomes of an event to an possible outcomes of a random experiment is called as probability. Now, this is a probability is denoted by P of A, and it is written as it is a ratio of favorable to the total. So, it is M upon N. This M value will be the minimum value is a 0, and the maximum value of M is N, and therefore the probability of A always lies between 0 and 1. The probability can be 0, can be 1, and between 0 and 1 it is not negative as well as does not exist or the greater than 1. Now, what is a mutually exclusive and exhaustive events? If two events are such that there doesn't have any common elements, then they are called as mutually exclusive events. For example, the same when we take an example of throwing a die. If I select event A as a number less than or equal to 3 and event B is a number greater than 5. When I say event A is 1, 2, 3, event B greater than pi, so the number will be the 6. Nothing is common, and such events A and B are called as mutually exclusive events. When they are mutually exclusive, their intersection is a null set, and therefore its probability is 0. Now, what is mean by exhaustive events? Two events A and B are such that the union becomes the same sample space. Then the events are called as exhaustive events. And whenever they are exhaustive events, the probability of A union B is 1. Now, as we have studied this, that is what we get. If we say that there are three events A, B, and C, they are mutually exclusive and exhaustive in a sample space of S, then as they are mutually exclusive, A intersection B, B intersection C, C intersection A, all and A intersection B intersection C, all will be the null set, and so their probabilities will be 0. As it is exhaustive, their union is a sample space, and so probability of A union B union C is 1. Theorem of a probability. The addition theorem. If A and B are the two different events, then A union B is probability of A plus probability of B minus probability of A intersection B. And the probability of and if you take the three events A, B, C, then probability of A union B union C is probability of A plus probability of B plus probability of C minus probability of A intersection B minus B intersection C minus A intersection C plus A intersection B intersection C. This already you have studied in the 11th standard. This what we are just doing is revising what we have studied in the 11th standard, because this is will be required again. A union B, as it is a combination or combined, naturally its probability will be greater than A, as well as it is a greater than B. And when we say A intersection B is a common in A and B, so common part will be always less than the set, and so probability of A intersection B is always less than probability of A, and A intersection B is also the less than B. This is what we have studied in the last year. We are to study what is mean by the conditional probability. The word itself says it is a conditional. There is a certain condition. Now, if event we are taken the two events A and B, such that occurrence of the second event is affected by the occurrence of the first event, such events are called as a conditional events. And the such probabilities, that is the occurrence of the B event, the probability of B which is going to affect due to the occurrence of the A is called as the probability. So probability of event B when A has already occurred is called as a conditional probability and denoted by PB slash A. It is not read as a B slash A, it is read as probability of B given A. When I say B given A, it means we are trying to find out the B. A has already occurred. And if we say that A given B, then it means probability of event A, but B has already occurred. Now, sometimes they have not given that is a occurred or this. They use a word in a different part that is given that. And for that, we have the formula probability of B given A is probability of A intersection B upon probability of A. Here probability of A should not be 0, while A given B will be the probability of A intersection B upon probability of B. Here the probability of B should not be 0. Then only we can calculate A given B, and if A is not 0, then we can calculate B given A. Now from this formulas only we will come to know, as probability of A and probability of B will not be equal every time. And so what we get, probability of A given B is not equals to B given A. These two probabilities, A given B or B given A, are not equal. Now how to understand this? Because this is a difference, okay, when already occurred. For best example of already occurred, that is when we have drawn the two cards from a deck of card and we are not replacing the card. Naturally, when we take a second card, what the first card has drawn is going to affect. But every time the sums are not of such type, then also we are finding out the conditional probability. For that, we will solve certain sums so that you will clear. For that, we will start the exercise 13.1, question number 12. Assume that each born child is equally likely to be a boy or a girl. If a family has two children, what is the conditional probability that both are girls, given that the youngest is a girl and at least one is a girl? Now, here what they have stated, there are two children in family. Now, as they are having two children, what are the possibilities? They are boy or a girl. Now, first we say that let boy be denoted by B and we'll denote the girl by J. Now, what is the sample space? What we can write? The sample space will have, the family may have both the boys, one boy and one girl. But when I write BG, it indicates that the boy is a elder and the girl is a younger. When I write GB, the girl is a younger. Sorry, the girl is a elder and the boy is a younger. Here GG. So the sample space will contain the four elements and the elements will be BB, BG, GB and GG. Here B indicates the boy and G indicates the girl. Now, first, what they have stated, a family has two children, and the conditional probability that both are the girls. So we'll say that this is a A. If I say the both are girls is a A, given that after given that this event becomes a B. So first we'll try to say that A is a event that both are girls. So let A be the event, both are girls. So what will be the set A? That will be GG because both should be the girls. So that is only this GG. And so what is the probability? That is a 1 is favorable for the set A. So its probability will be 1 upon 4. Now first part, what they have asked. Youngest is a girl. So we say that let B be the event that youngest is a girl. Now, as the youngest is a girl, so that will be what are the set B we can write as BG or GG because the second should be the girl. So, first can be boy or a girl. So, that is what we get the set B as BG, GG. So, what is the probability of B? There are two favorable, so its probability will be 2 by 4 or we can write half, but we are going to keep as it is here. Now, what is A intersection B? Our set A is having GG. Set B was having BG and GG. What is the intersection? It means the common element. So, what is the common element? We get GG. So, what will be the probability of A intersection B? Will be 1 divided by 4. Here we get the intersection as same as A. Every time it will not be such. Now in this case, what they have given A, here this is we have assumed as a B. A given B. So they have asked to calculate the probability of A given B. Now what is the formula for A given B? Is probability of A intersection B upon probability of B. And for that we have calculated A intersection B. What was the A intersection B? That was 1 by 4 divided by the probability of B was 2 by 4. We have not cancelled this because here what happened, this 4 will get cancelled and we will get the answer directly as half. Or here if you will write 1 by 2, then we have to go on 2 into 1 by 4. So ultimate the answer will be the same. Now the second part in the question, at least one is a girl. So let event C be at least one is a girl. At least one is a girl, it means it can have one girl and two girls, but not two boys. So the set C will be BG, GB, and GG. So how many elements are there now in the set C? 3. So probability of C will be 3 upon 4. Now we'll try to find as the third, this is a given condition. What they have asked, A given C. Now what is the probability of A given C? Will be A intersection C upon probability of C. So first we have to calculate the probability of A intersection C. So we'll try to find out A intersection C. A set was having GG. Here it is a BG, GB and GG. So common element will be GG. And probability of A intersection C will be 1 upon 4. Now what they've asked, A given C is probability of A intersection C upon probability of C. So that is a 1 by 4 upon 3 by 4 and we get it as 1 upon 3. So we get the probability, that is both the question they have asked. One was at least, that is a when it is at least one girl, it is a 1 by 3, and the first part was that is a youngest was a girl, then its probability was half. This is a one way to solve. Another way for the such conditional probability, we can consider this, that is a when A given C. So the set C becomes a sample space for the event A. Now, what is the sample space? Rather than taking the sample space as 4, we'll consider C will becomes a sample space. And out of this sample, so in that case, N will becomes a 3. And then A is 1, so its probability is 1 by 3. That is also the way we can calculate. But in such case, every time we have to go on considering the sample space, and it will be the different part for each and every one. So I hope you must have understood what is mean by the conditional probability. To solve the conditional probability, this is the easiest way. That is, take the intersection upon the probability of B if it is A given B. Because we can calculate A, we can calculate the set B, and we can calculate the A intersection B. Otherwise, I've just stated that is, we can go with this as a sample space, and then out of this sample space, GG will have the chance 1 out of 3, so its probability will becomes a 1 by 3. Multiplication theorem on probability. Just now we have studied the formula, that is A given B, probability of A given B. For that, A and B should be two sets associated with the sample space, or we are saying that they are the events as subset of the sample space. Then what we get? Probability of A given B is probability of A intersection B upon probability of B. Now I can cross multiply this. That is a B into A given B gives you me the probability of A intersection B. So we can write probability of A intersection B as probability of B into A given B. The condition is that B should not be 0, because if B becomes a 0, this entire part will becomes a 0. So we got the formula A intersection B with the help of A given B. We can find out with B given A, and so we can rewrite it as A intersection B can also be written as A into B given A. Here the condition is A should not be 0. So we can calculate A intersection B depending upon this two. That is A given B, then it is into B, and if it is a B given A, then it will be multiplied by A. This is called as a multiplication theorem, because here we are using the multiplication with the condition. Now this is, we have gone for the two events. If A, B, C are the three events associated with the sample space, then naturally what we get, A intersection B intersection C will be written as A into B given A into C given A intersection B. Now what it means? A multiplied by B when A has already occurred into the event C is such that A and B both has already occurred, and whenever we say both, it is an intersection, and so that is a C given that A and B both has occurred, and so we get probability of A intersection B intersection C as A into B given A into C given A intersection B. Naturally, we can write with, that is, instead of A, if B has occurred first, then B, then that is, we can go with C has occurred with B, everything. And so this is called as a multiplication theorem of the probability. That is, whenever normally we doesn't use this much more, we are going to use this in better way. That is, mostly they are given for the two events only, but we can write for the three events as well as. Now, when we have already studied what is mean by the condition, that is the occurrence of one event affects the occurrence on the second event. But sometimes we get the events such that there is no affected by one on the other, or other is not. Such events, independent event, the word itself says it is independent. They does not depends upon each other, while in the conditional one occurs on the other, that is a result of the other. Now if A and B are the two events such that occurrence of B does not depends upon the occurrence of A, then it is called as independent events. Now, the best example of independent events are when I ask you to solve the sum. I have given the sum for the two students. Now, I've asked them to solve and give the answer. It is not depending upon the anyone because they are solving by their own. Same way, another example is hitting the target. When the first person has hit or not, when the other is coming to hit the target, it does not depends upon whether A has hit or not. Another example is a working of the two lifts in a complex. If they are not independent, there is no use of keeping two lifts in a complex. In a big complex, always there are kept the two so that if at least one will work. Correct? If it is a dependent, if one is not working, that means second will also not work. Then no use of keeping the second left. Such events are called as independent events. Now, whenever the A and B are the two independent events, correct, we can say that they are independent. Then naturally we get probability of A given B will be same as the probability of A. Obvious, B should not be 0. So whenever we get probability of A given B is same as probability of A, then we can say that the events are independent, or in the reverse way, if they are independent, probability of A given B will be same as the probability of A. Similarly, probability of B given A will be equals to probability of B. A should not be 0, and then there is a B given A is same as B if they are independent, or in the reverse way, if they are independent, these are always true. Or the third criteria to check the independent is probability of A intersection B is same as probability of A into probability of B. Mainly we use this criteria to check whether the events are independent or not. And if the events are independent, we are using this formula only, that is A intersection B will be A into B. So if events are independent, this will follow, or if this is a result is followed, that indicates that the events are independent. Now we will solve one example on this. That is exercise 13.2, question number 5. A die is marked 1, 2, 3 in red color and 4, 5, 6 in the green is tossed. Let A be the event that number is even and B is the event the number is red. Are the A and B independent? Now first what they have stated, A is a event that number is even. So they have not mentioned about the colors. The number should be the even number. So what will be the set totally first as a die is thrown? It has 6 faces, and so naturally the sample space will contain the 6 elements. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So n becomes a 6. Event A is a even number. As A is a even number, what will be the set A? Will be 2, 4 and 6. So it has 3 elements. So probability of A will be 3 upon 6, or we can write it as a half. So that was the first. We have calculated the probability of A. Now they have asked whether they are independent. So first we'll calculate probability of A. We'll calculate probability of B, as well as we'll calculate probability of A intersection B. And then we will check if the product is equal, we can say they are independent. So first part is over, that is we have calculated probability of A. Now we will calculate the probability of B. What is the event B given? The number is in red. So which are the numbers are in red? That is a 1, 2, 3. So set B will be 1, 2 and 3. What will be the probability of B then? 3 out of 6. So again it is a half. Now we have calculated A and B. We'll calculate A intersection B. A was an even number, B is a red number. So what is the intersection? That is a common element. What was a common element? That is a 2. So A intersection B is 2. So what is the probability of A intersection B? Will be 1 upon 6 because we are having only one element. So it will be 1 upon 6. Now we will calculate P of A. into P of B. P of A was also half into P of B is also half. So what we get is a 1 by 4. Here we get A intersection B was 1 by 6. So they are not equal. That is not equals to A intersection B. And as this are not equal, A and B are not independent events. So that is the first question they have given. To check whether the events are independent or not, first we'll calculate the probability of first event, second event, as well as we'll calculate the probability of A intersection B. And if the product is same, we can say that they are independent event. Hope you are understanding this. Now we will solve one more sum where they have given that sometimes they give directly, that is events are independent, while sometimes they are not giving, they are independent. Just for that I have given the example that solving the problem is an independent question. Here we are going with the one more example, that is the probability of solving the specific sum independently by the A and B are half and 1 by 3 respectively. If both try to solve this example independently, find the probability that the problem is solved and exactly one of them solves the problem. So they have given that there are two students A and B and they are trying to solve the specified sum. The probability of sum will be solved by the student A is given half and the student B can solve, its probability is given 1 by 3. Here they have given the statement, both try to solve independently. Sometimes they are not giving this statement. But the solving of the sum doesn't depends upon the student. And so this is not required, or sometimes they may give, may not give, but always solving the sum is an independent events. So that is A and B are the independent events only. Here we have stated again the same, that is a P of A is half. As P of A is a half, it means the probability that he will solve the sum is half. So he will not solve A dash. What is A dash? It's a complement. And probability of complement is always 1 minus probability of an event. So here it will be 1 minus half, that is a half. P of A dash, it means he is not solving it. Why we have calculated this? When we'll solve the sum, you will come to know, because that is the easiest way to solve the method. The same sum can be solved by the two different methods, but naturally we'll try to solve by the easy way. Now B, probability that B can solve the sum is probability of B, and that is given as 1 by 3. As he can solve the sum is 1 by 3, probability that he can't solve will be 2 by 3. Now they are solving independently. It means A and B are the independent event. First part, what they have asked, the problem is solved. Problem is solved, it means it can be solved either by A or by B or by both. Actually, either by A or B, either or, it means it is always a union. The problem is solved, it means there was probability of A union B. Here, after this, we can go by the additional theorem. That is a probability of A union B. We know the formula, probability of A plus probability of B minus probability of A intersection B. A was given, B was given. A intersection B is not given, but what they have stated, it is an independent event. And as it is an independent event, probability of A intersection B will be probability of A into probability of B. And so we can calculate the intersection and solve. That is the one method. Especially for 2, it is a equivalent. But if they have given the 3, A, B, C, then this method, which I'm showing you now, is easy when there is a 3 students are given. For 2, it is almost same steps. Now A union B, I can write 1 minus A union B the whole complement, because we know that set plus complement sets, addition of this 2 is 1. So set will be 1 minus complement. So 1 minus probability of A union B the whole complement. We have studied the De Morgan's law. last year. That is A union B, the whole complement will be written as A complement intersection B complement. So using the De Morgan's law, we will write it as 1 minus probability of A complement intersection B complement. We have converted into the intersection because if whenever they are independent events, we know that the intersection between them is a product of these two. And so the union was tried to convert into the intersection. Now what we can write? It will be 1 minus probability of A complement into probability of B complement. As A and B are independent, A complement and B complement are also the independent events. So we get it as 1 minus probability of A complement into probability of B complement. And for that we have calculated the probability of A complement and B complement there. So it will be 1 minus half into B complement was 2 by 3. Naturally, when simplify, we get 1 minus 1 by 3 and that is equal to 2 by 3. So we have calculated the problem is solved. Will be 2 by 3 or I just stated that is A union B. We can use the formula A plus B minus intersection and simplify. You will get the same answer. That was the first part. Now the second, what they have stated, exactly one of them has solved a sum. What is the meaning of exactly one of them is solved? It means if A had solved or B had solved, not simultaneous. So A, we can say that it is A has solved, not the B, or B has solved, not the A. So that is A intersection B complement. A has solved, not B, or A has not solved, B has solved a sum. So that is A intersection B complement union A complement intersection B. Now here again union formula. So we'll write this as probability of, this is a first event. If we'll assume this as a first and this is a second, then what is the union? First plus second minus intersection of this. But A intersection A complement is always a null. B intersection B complement is also null. So it will be 0. So we'll just write probability of A intersection B complement plus probability of A complement intersection B. As it is an intersection and A and B dash are independent events. So that can be written as probability of A into probability of B dash plus probability of A dash into probability of B. Now just replace the values. A was half, B dash was 2 by 3 plus A dash is half and B is 1 by 3. Simplify. LCM is 6. So this is a 2 plus 1. So we get 3 by 6 or that is the same as half. So here they have given the independent and we have used independent events to solve the problem or to find out the probability of the different question. Herewith we are completing the conditional probability and independent events and their use to solve the probability sums. Now you can solve the exercise 13.1 and 13.2 of your test book. This is a link given, correct? And try. I hope you have understood the theory and so can solve the given sum. Thank you, students.